So we've got the frets all installed and sorted out in the last episode, and that was the last real big job on this before we get into the finishing process. But there are a couple of little jobs that need sorting out before we do that. First off, we need to adapt this soap bar P90 into a dog ear. So we'll be doing that first, and then next, when that's done, I'm going to do, as far as I can, a full trial build of all the hardware onto the guitar, just to make sure there's no problems waiting for me. I'd rather get them sorted now before I get the finish on than have to do it afterwards and risk damaging the finish. So first up, we'll get this pickup sorted out. So literally the only difference between a soap bar P90 and a dog ear P90 is the cover and the base plate. So to make this change, it's simply a case of taking the pickup out of the cover, taking the base plate off, unsoldering the ground wire from the base plate, resoldering it onto the new base plate and reassemble. So I'm going to bring you in and we'll have a look at how that's done. So first up, we remove the base plate just by simply removing these two screws. So if we pop that off, we can see there's a ground wire soldered on there. So in the first instance, we're just going to take that off with a soldering iron. And then we can remove that base plate altogether. And then all we need to do is to thread the wire from the pickup onto the new base plate and get it to such a position that we can resolder the ground wire on. So I've cleaned this corner of the base plate up where the ground wire is going to attach. I'm just going to heat it up and tin that little area so I can solder this on properly. Okay, with that soldered on, just replace the screws and we can put the cover on. And there we have it, one dog ear pickup. Anyone wondering why I'm going through this, I did explain in an earlier video, but if you missed that, generally I've been able to find two types of P90 dog ear pickup in the UK. One type's about £120 and the other type is about £5. So I'm not really willing to go with either of those options. The other option I've found is you can get the Tone Rider Hot 90 P90, which I've used before. Very nice pickup, but it only comes in soap bar. For the cost of a few pounds for the new cover and the new base plate, you can convert it to the P90 configuration. Right, with that done, we can move on to the last few little jobs on the body. So the first little bit I'm going to do is just fit the strap buttons. And what I've got is the Schaller type locking strap buttons. I always use strap locks. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but I've always used them and I wouldn't feel safe without them. Okay, so a trial build. I think we'll do a fast forward montage. Okay, so I've done the trial fit out, everything fits great. I'm really happy with the way it's looking, the way it's gone together. There's a couple of little tweaks that I'll probably make in the finishing process, but apart from that we're good to go. So the next step is to tear it all down again. Okay, so fully stripped down again, and now we can start the preparation for the finishing. So the first thing I'm going to do is iron the guitar, obviously. So yes, I did just say I'm going to iron the guitar, and no, all the long hours in the shed haven't made me lose my marbles. Basically, throughout the course of this build, the body's been knocked about a little bit. Some of the processes might have damaged it as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just run a hot iron with a damp cloth over the guitar, and what that will do, hopefully anywhere where it's been knocked and it's compressed the wood fibres, it will make them swell back out again, so that when we sand down we haven't got to sand past those imperfections, we've just got to flatten them off again. Might not get everything out, but I do find it makes things a lot better. So here we go. You might be able to hear that, but I can certainly feel that has raised the grain as well, which isn't a bad thing. Now you might think that it's not a great idea to introduce moisture into the body, but realistically that moisture isn't penetrating very far, and as you can see it's already drying out. Now you might remember when I drilled the access hole through to the control cavity from the pickup route, I used a metal tube, and it actually introduced a big dent in this area there. Most of it was hidden by the pickup cover, but there was a little bit that extended past there. But I've just ironed that and it's completely gone. It's completely popped up. There's no mark there whatsoever now. So that's why I'm doing this, and yeah, success. So it's literally 5 minutes later, this is dried off fully now. So I'm just going to run over it with a DA. So I've just gone over all the flat areas with 120 grit. Now I'm going to go back over with 220. That's beautiful. I'm not going to go any further than there. I want to make this a really nice finish as best I can, so I am going to be grain filling this, so there's no point really going too far at this stage. We can pick that up once we take the grain filler off. So with the flats done, I'm now going to start working around the edge and on these bevels. So that's the body all sanded to 220 grit. I've I've blended in the radius and all these bevels, so there's a nice soft edge to those now. So next, move on to the neck and the headstock. So that's probably a good hour and a half's worth of sanding there. Obviously you didn't film it all, there's only so much sanding you can take, isn't there? But we're good, we're ready to go. So the next step is I'm just going to mask off the fretboard. Okay, with that done, the next step is, before I put the grain filler into this, I'm just going to give it a quick coat of sanding sealer. And what that will do, it will stop the grain filler kind of soaking into the wood any more than it needs to, and it will hopefully make cleanup a little bit quicker. I'm not going to get all fancy with this, it's all going to get rubbed off again eventually, so I'm just going to literally put it on with a paper towel. Okay, so that's all sealed up, it's pretty much dry already. I'm going to leave that overnight to cure properly. It's a cellulose sanding sealer, so I fully expect it to sink back into the pores as it dries out. And then I'll come back at it tomorrow and give it a coat of grain filler all over and take it from there. So it's the next night. This sanding sealer's been on for nearly a day now. It's properly dry. So the next step is I'm going to use some water-based wood filler to fill the grain, and then probably tomorrow morning when it's all nice and dry we'll give it a rub down and be ready to move on with the finishing. So that's giving it a good covering, and now I'm just going to give it a wipe going diagonally across the grain just to clean the thick of that off. So that's all got a covering now of grain filler. It's starting to dry up already, but I'm going to leave it till tomorrow morning now, and then we'll give it the mother of all sanding sessions and get that back down to a nice clean finish. So this is sat overnight now, it's good and dry, so it's just a case of sanding it all off now. That's all rubbed down now, it's all cleaned up really nicely. I've done the neck as well. All the pores are filled, and we're pretty much ready to go for finish now. Obviously we had the vote earlier to see which colour people wanted it to be finished in. I'm just about to go off and count up the votes. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag. The next time you see this build it will be finished, so there might be a little bit of a wait to the next video, but until then, thanks for watching and I'll see you later. Bye bye.